All right. Good afternoon. Thanks everyone for joining us. This is part two of our series on improving engagement in online meetings. So I'm going to turn it right over to Barb Brickford and we're going to take off, and we've got lots of examples and work to do, and it should be fun and we're going to learn a lot. Thanks, Barb.
You're welcome. I'm glad to be here. I'll do a short introduction of myself and we'll cover a few of the things that we did last time. For those of you who didn't come, who was not here last time, raise your hand. So like almost half of you. Okay, that's good. All right, I'll start sharing my slides. Oops, hold on a second. Here we go. Here we are. Here I am. When I was working for the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources, I discovered how much fun it is to lead meetings and engaging meetings. Who thinks meetings are really fun to lead? Raise your hands. A few people. Okay. All right. And a lot of people have your cameras off. It's hard to tell. But they can be fun. How can better meetings help you? They can help you be seen as capable and give you greater autonomy because people respect you. They believe that you can lead something, so you might get tapped for special projects or promotion, might even get you a new job if you know how to lead meetings well. And you can make a difference on the things you care about. So I'm glad you're here. Our plan for this workshop, we are experiencing easy to learn activities that help groups to connect and engage, contribute ideas, and explore meetings. 3 activities in particular. And we're addressing meeting challenges. Those of you that were here last time, we made a list of meeting challenges. And also I'm sharing tips for encouraging participation in your meetings. And we'll be doing it all by doing, learning by doing. In our first session, we gathered ideas for having more engaging meetings. We went through 6 of the tips for improving engagement. We went through 2 activities to use. So those of you that were here last time, try to remember what those were like. And then again, we made your list of challenges. This time, we're going to collaborate on solutions to those challenges. We're going to go through a few more tips for improving engagement, and we'll do one more engaging activity, just one. I had to cut the other one because we were running low on time. And then we'll share more tips for using the activities. All right, let's go on. Engaging. Tip number 7, take frequent breaks. This time, those of you that were here last time had a week-long break. The rest of you, we're only meeting here for an hour, so we probably won't be doing much in terms of moving, but I want you to feel comfortable in getting up, walking away, look out the window. When we give you time to think, don't feel like you have to sit here married to your computer. Get up and move if you need to. Now, last time we made a list of 7 challenges worded as questions, and I'm not going to go through all of these, but I want you to notice the last 2. They're quite similar. How to keep focused on the purpose of the meeting, and how do we keep people focused on the agenda and not go off topic. So what I did was I grouped these, and I grouped them into 5 topics. Staying focused, there were 3 different focuses, that number 3, 4, and 5. One is about getting a person's personal attention and to focus on the meeting as a participant. The second staying focused was about staying on the task that you're on and not having side conversations. And the third one was to not go off track entirely by going onto a tangent and missing the point of your meeting. And the other 2, number 1 and 2, were building relationships and encouraging sharing. So now what I'd like you to do is think about which of these challenges resonates with you today. You don't have to choose the challenge you had last week, but which one seems to be a challenge for you today in meetings? Building relationships, encouraging sharing, encouraging full attention, staying focused on a task, or staying on on task for the whole purpose of the meeting. Don't tell me, just think alone for a minute, and then I'll ask you to do something with that. Everyone got one? All right. You may want to open up the chat. Shauna's going to be putting instructions in the chat, and she's copying in these engagement tips. And there'll be other things in the chat. You don't need to put your number in the chat, by the way. So engagement tip number 8 is giving people choices. So this time we're going to give you these choices about which ones to work on. But for our first activity, we're going to do a breakout room to help you connect to yourself, to each other, and to the topic. And Kathy's going to put us in breakout rooms. I want you to share the challenge that you want to work on, those building relationships, staying focused, encouraging sharing. That time, just talk to each other, share about it. If you want to share a little bit more about that, once you've all shared, then go ahead. Are we ready to go, Kathy?
We are. Here we go.
Okay. Oh, welcome back, everybody. I hope you met someone that you haven't met before, and you make a connection here. Now, what I'd like to do is, well, let's think about this. In meetings in person, facilitators have this love affair with yellow stickies because they're a quick way of getting people to contribute. And online, it's been hard to find a tool, but I found one last week, and so I'm testing it. I'd like your feedback on this afterwards. But what I like about this one is that you don't need to sign in. You don't need to identify yourself. It's easy to move around. You can just use the scroll bars on the bottom and the side. And it's easy to add a sticky. It's super easy. But so we're going to test it. Shauna has put the link to it. It's a bit.ly, and it's in the chat. And so if you wouldn't mind, go to this bit.ly thing and then scroll to the far left where there's blue stickies.
Oh.
Can you do it on your phone?
I'm trying. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. If you can't access it, you could put it in the chat. And Wendy, I'm going to ask you, when you see somebody put something in the chat, would you move it over onto the board? Like, would you vote on behalf of somebody who can't put it in? Who's in the program? Who's in the Easy Retro right now? Put your hand up. Okay. Not everybody's in it yet. A few people. Some people have their cameras off.
It's loading. I don't know.
It's loading. Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to ask those who have access to it already, go to the blue stickies, which are on the far left side. It gives those 4 different. What happened to number 1? Huh. Is number 1 in there?
No.
Ah.
I cannot see it.
All right. Well, I get to demonstrate how to create one. Okay. You click on the plus. Oh, wait, I'll share my screen. That way people can see it. Okay. So I clicked on this plus here, and I'm going to put number 1. Nope, that's the wrong thing.
I opened it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Don't click on any stickies
It popped up again.
Okay. Don't create a sticky. I'm just going to make this one here. Number 1 is in there now.
It just popped in again. Yeah, it wasn't there before though.
Okay, so we're getting good feedback on whether this worked or not. Now, think about the challenge you chose and see where the little upvote, the little thumbs up thing is. Go to that one and click on the one that you had. So if you want to work on encouraging attention and avoiding multitasking, put your little cursor on the thumbs up and click on it. And what we're trying to do here is get an idea of how many people to put in each breakout room, in addition to getting you used to the tool. So go ahead and do that now. Upvote the one that you want to work on the most. Okay, yeah, I see someone's used the reactions. If you wouldn't mind using the other thing that's right here instead of the reactions. That way we get a vote, a count. Yeah, not this one over here. I might even disable the reactions, but I want you to use the vote, the actual voting here. Okay, so how many people are in the meeting here, Shauna? Minus us.
15.
15 minus us would be 11, right?
Well, 19 minus us is 15. Yep.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Sorry.
Yep. So Kathy, it looks to me like group number 3 is, well, 5 people are still good. Okay. All right. The person who's in building relationships, I'm going to ask if you would consider picking a different one because I don't want to put you in a breakout room all by yourself. Would you be willing to pick a different one? I don't know who you are because it's anonymous voting, right? Okay, so I think what this tells me is we won't have a breakout room for something else, and we'll have 4 breakout rooms. Okay, Kathy?
Yes.
All right. All right, great. Okay. Now I'll stop sharing here. Stop sharing and go on to the next thing. All right.
Oh,
We're going to examine your challenges a little more deeply now using a structure called what, so what, now what. It's about the way we think. And in scientific terms, it'd be like, looking, the difference between looking at the facts and then having an opinion or a theory about the facts. And then your conclusion is the now what. So we're going to do each step at a time. Think for 1 minute about what is happening when you have your challenge. Let's say your challenge is encouraging sharing. So what is happening when you think there's this thing happening where people aren't sharing? Think about it in your head. And if you can access the board, you can, I'm going to shut this. Hold on a second. I'm going to share again. You can click on the plus. Let's see, it's for number 3, if it's encouraging sharing, you would add something. So someone says they have their cameras off. You can click on the plus and describe what you can see, hear, even smell, how you feel when people are not sharing. Go ahead and put it into the easy retro. And if you can't put it into the easy retro, answer the question in chat and Wendy will copy it in and make a card for you.
Okay.
Are you following me? Is there anybody have questions? So the person that puts side conversations detract from the meeting purpose, and it's hard to get the group on track. Try to be a little more specific about what exactly are you seeing? What would a video camera detect? People look confused, for example, would be one. Okay, I appreciate you guys putting these on the board. Raise your hand when you're done adding things. There's still people writing, so we'll wait a minute. What I hope happens here is that you'll start to see patterns and commonalities. For sure, your experience is not unusual. All right, you can add more later as they come to you. What I'd like you to do now is to move to the right. And to do that, you might have to scroll out a little bit like I'm doing. I'm holding down my control and I'm scrolling with my mouse. And I want you to move over using the scroll bar to the white cards. Everyone at the white cards? No, okay. And I'm getting feedback on how this tool works.
For me, to scroll over to the white cards, I had to scroll all the way down to get the bottom slider.
To get the bar, yeah.
Mhm.
Thank you. And I think it depends on how many slide or scrolls, excuse me, how many green squares are in the longest one.
Yep.
Yeah, okay, so let's go over to the white ones. Now, this time, put your assumptions, your questions, your insights. What do you think about this? So what? What meaning do you make of this, what you've just described about your challenge? So example, when I observe people are looking at their phones a lot, I assume that they think what's happening on their phone is more important than the meeting. I don't know that, but I assume that. Or I'm wondering what's going on with their goofy children now. Or I'm thinking, oh, isn't that great? They cared enough about other people that they are staying in touch with them even during our meeting. It's so wonderful. I mean, you could have a different reaction to it, right? So think about what they care about and ask questions. Everyone put at least one card on? Okay, pretty much. Okay. We're going to go to breakout rooms now, but you're going to choose which breakout room you're going to go to depending on your challenge. If your challenge is, let's say your challenge is encouraging sharing, you can see that the room 2 is up here. Can you see where my cursor is? It says room 2. So when you are given the choice, click on room 2 and join room 2. In room 2, what I'd like you to do is read the cards very quickly and then talk about them and see if you can add more cards to the thing. And don't go down the road of solving it. If anyone starts to try to solve it, stop them. You want to stay in the questions about what and so what. Is that clear? Okay. All right. You're going to get I'm going to stop sharing now. You're going to get your choice of going to a breakout room. Head out there and have some conversation about this.
No, I'll have to recreate then.
Okay.
All right. Welcome back, everybody.
Oh,
Now,
Barb, just to let you know, we can do what you were just discussing. I'll just open all the rooms again when we're ready.
and the people will be back in the same room they chose.
Yes, I believe so.
Okay. But now, right now, everyone, I want you to think about how you can do something to address this challenge. It might be something you do before the meeting, like write a better agenda, during the meeting, or maybe even after the meeting. Things that you could do yourself or that you might ask other people to do, either everyone in the meeting or particular people to help you. And also think about ways you could change the environment or the process of the meeting. And what I would like you to do right now is write those on paper while I move the cards around, okay? And this will just take me a minute. All right. What I've done in the easy retro is to put the room 1 columns all together. So there'll be a green column for the what's, the white columns for the so what's, and an orange column for you to put your ideas. Now you can start typing them in there. And at some point, Kathy, you could send people back to their breakout rooms and you talk about your ideas of how you can address this challenge.
All right, here we go.
All right, welcome back, everybody. I want to encourage you to go through this later and read it, but I will capture this. There's a way for me to download all this information into an Excel spreadsheet. I will for sure share with you the now what ideas for each of the challenges, and Shauna will send those out to you. So as soon as I get them captured, you don't have to worry about capturing them yourself. And I'll also add a few if I think of anything that's obvious to me that would be a good way to solve a challenge. In the meantime, though, what I'd like you to do is either close or minimize so you're not looking at the easy retro anymore. We're kind of done with that for now. If you think of ideas later and you want to open it up and add another idea, that's fine too. I'll probably take it down this evening. But so what we're going to do now is stop thinking about what we were doing, that is naming and solving those challenges. And we're going to think more about how we're doing it. We're thinking about the geologic processes more than naming or describing the outcrops here. Okay, we're going to think a little bit bigger. It's a question of process. So think back to the activities we've done so far. And those of you that were here last week, you have to think back, and those that weren't, unfortunately, that's not going to help. But you can listen to those who were here. I'm going to ask you some questions about what you observed, that's the what, and what you concluded, the so what, and what comes next, the now what. So what, those of you that were here last time, if you only had a video camera, what would you have seen happening in those activities that we were doing? Remember, we did an impromptu networking, which was like quick paired conversations. And then we did the one for all. What did you notice?
And you can unmute and say it verbally too.
Yeah,
if you
just say
want,
it verbally or put it in the chat if you like.
Well, one thing I can say is that like you're definitely forcing us to turn on cameras and talk to each other in small groups. And so like you're already like covering a few checkpoints. Yeah, there's something else, but I'm gonna skip.
Okay. Who was also last time? Stephen, you were here last time. Jennifer, I think you were. What did you notice about what we did last time? And this time too.
Not sure if it answers the question, but with the visual interaction, it's just expression, body language. All these things contribute, I think, to the interaction, encouraging interaction, sharing of ideas, collaboration, etc.
How many people spoke during those activities?
Probably everyone.
I'd say everyone.
Yeah, everyone. Not just me.
I think
What else
made extra effort to make sure everyone spoke, right? That everyone felt included.
And everyone had a choice.
Yeah. So let's go into so what. What does this mean to you? What about these activities would be possible if you applied them? What conclusions are you drawing?
that it helps to have your camera on if possible.
The more you engage, the more you encourage engagement. There's reciprocity.
It's like a feedback, positive feedback there, isn't there?
I like giving people, oh, go ahead.
No, go
ahead.
I like giving people the option, because some people aren't verbal, right? They don't feel comfortable, to give them the option to use the chat, right? I haven't encouraged that as much, and would like to maybe on my next meetings encourage that more. If they bring it up in the conversation or put it in the chat.
Yep.
And I like the also use of this like breakout rooms and more like short but more frequent ways, because then it kind of keeps more active and like proactive the meeting.
It's a little variety, isn't it? Really.
It makes it harder to zone out when you're in a breakout room, and it's more accountable because there's only like one or two other people there.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. They help people to stay focused because they're in a small breakout room. Okay, now the now what? What will you do next? How will you apply these activities, or how could you apply these activities in your next meeting? Where might you use them?
Encourage the people to talk more to each other, not leave the talking to one person.
I think setting the tone even at the beginning of the meeting, not only signing on early, but then, oh, I see, hey, so-and-so who just logged in, and just kind of setting up this conversational tone at the beginning, even before we jump into the agenda.
Mhm. It warms people up, doesn't it?
Mhm.
Really? Yeah.
I used this last week when I was leading a meeting over WebEx, and I specifically called on people. It was a really small group, but I specifically called out, hey, Joe, what do you think of this? And it worked. It worked a little bit better than it had when I was just leaving those open-ended. Hey, what do you all think about this?
Yeah.
So that was kind of a plus from last week's meeting.
Yeah, I'm glad you tried it right away, Vicky. I use these activities to generate ideas quickly. Instead of having a serial conversation where you're each sharing one idea and everybody hears them, if you do it in breakout rooms and you pick the best idea, then the best ideas come to the top right away. You can also use these activities to make decisions. I was in a meeting once where we made a decision that I knew it would take an hour if we had tried to make it in the large group. But because we did the 1, 2, 4 all, it took literally 20 minutes. And we were all in agreement and we were all behind it. It was amazing to me. So what I'd like to do now is give you a little bit more idea of what's going on with these activities. And here we go. Shy. Okay. So how else can we get people to participate in meetings? We can use liberating structures. That's what we've been doing. I've been teaching you by having you use them. Liberating structures are activities that are structured just enough to foster engagement, include everyone, and then it enables everyone to co-create an outcome. Let's see, hold on a second. These were originally created by Keith McCandless and Henry Lipmanowitz. There's a book of them, and there's also a website. If you go on the website, they show you exactly the same as in the book, step-by-step instructions for using them. The book is more about using them in person. Obviously, since the pandemic, we all went online. Now they're writing a book that will include online instructions. So you can use these activities freely because they're available under Creative Commons license. You can adapt them, you can string them together, you can turn them inside out, upside down, but you can't sell them. That's the only thing. The first activity we did last week was impromptu networking. You may remember this if you were here. It's where we had 3 short conversations, and in each conversation you had the same question to answer, but you shared it with 3 different people, and your answer could evolve if you wanted it to. This structure helps people to connect, to network, and get to know each other quickly. And it's also good for getting quick feedback on something when you're in a meeting and you just are kind of exploring it. People usually talk more during the rest of the meeting if you give them an opportunity to say something in that first 5 minutes. It develops deeper sharing and fosters trust. And I used it to start the workshop in order for us to connect ourselves and to each other and to our purposes. Those 3 things lay the foundation for any more engaging meeting. 1, 2, 4 all is where we worked alone, and if we'd done it strictly, we would have worked in pairs before we went to 4s. We just went to 4, so I did a variation of it for you, and then we talked as a whole group afterwards. You might have heard of a variation of this called Think, Pair, Share. It's used in education. Anyone heard of that one? Think, Pair, Share. Yeah, a few people. Okay. This particular activity is very versatile. It's very adaptable. It's a building block for other liberating structures, and you can get more done in 15 minutes than you would believe possible. Okay. And the last one we did was what, so what, now what? And we used that one today. We used it to examine what happened in the first activities as well. Remember when we talked about what happened during those activities? What so what now what is really useful for helping people separate facts from their inferences and their assumptions. And it keeps groups from jumping to solutions, especially solutions that don't take all the facts into account or don't take all the needs of the people into account. It helps participants to focus. And it's really useful for reviewing the past or the present, for unpacking the assumptions and deciding what to do next. You can save yourself a lot of arguments about solutions or strategies by using this activity first to come to agreement about what the problem is before you talk about how to solve it. All right. Now, why do liberating structures work? Well, I'll say it's in your typical webinar is a presentation. So look in the far lower left. Presentations are one person who is controlling the whole event. Even status reports and managed discussions are being controlled by one person. When you get into a little more free form, like going up here to the upper left, when you have an open discussion, you have less control and maybe more people, but still it can get kind of chaotic. And even brainstorming can be a little bit chaotic. Liberating structures are the green dot in the upper right. It gives maximum amount of control and involves more and more people. And so more people are involved in shaping the next steps. And that's why they work. Now, another thing I want to share with is this last tip here. One of these tips is to allow time for silent thinking. I try to give everyone a minute to think about something before we talk about anything. And the reason I do that is that it includes half the people in the room that are normally left out, or at least they get behind. And that's those of us that are introverts. Who in here would call themselves an introvert? Yeah, a few people. Did you appreciate having a minute to think before you were asked to talk? This is about inclusion and allowing people to find their voice before they have to think. So, I'll see how much time we have. I don't know if we have time for questions. I don't think we do. I hate to say it. Anyone have a quick question? Can we have one quick question? No one has a question. All right. Well, I'll go to my recap then. If you have a question, you can stay on a minute after we shut the recording off. You've experienced several simple and highly adaptable structured activities that encourage groups to know one another, to share opinions, to review progress, and to make decisions in a healthy and inclusive way. The activities were liberating structures. They were impromptu networking, 1, 2, 4 all, and what so what now what. And last week we also did one called Chatterfall. If you want to know more about these liberating structures, you can feel free to contact me, or you can look on the Liberating Structures website. Now, I had fun today. I hope all your meetings are more engaging by just putting in 1 or 2 of these tips or trying one of these activities. I want to give special thanks to Kathy for running the breakouts, and to Shauna for putting things in the chat, and Wendy for support. So back to you, Shauna.
Thank you so much, Barb. We appreciate it. For everyone who's been able to attend this week and last week, or whatever combination, appreciate you coming. Hopefully it benefits you quickly, at your next meeting. I don't know how soon that might be, especially one where maybe you're helping to develop the agenda or leading it. And yeah, let us know what you think, or if you made fun changes and they worked, right? That's the idea. And if you got feedback, we'll have a feedback form. You'll see it. You can give it about the presentation, and we will eventually have the recordings up on our YouTube channel, so you can refer back to them if you want to. And we'll be giving you the the so what's, right? The so what's,
The now what's?
the now what? Thank
The
you.
now what's?
Everything's a what. But we'll be getting those out to everyone who attended too. So you get some resources to help carry you into the future. But it'll take us a few weeks to get the recordings up, so that's not going to be instantaneous. But we thank you for coming. Yeah.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Nice to see you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you.